I'm not a lawyer, but Shannon Sharpe is being sued for $50 million in a lawsuit that accuses him of a number of things.
And the fact that an upstanding and righteous gentleman like yourself is in that position with the only thing trying to be righteous in our lane is just more machinations of the devil. You should have a much better backstory when you pick me as an opponent.
You know what, man? I'm glad you at least, addressed it, because
when you talk to him and tell him what the truth is, he won't be able to refute it. I told you earlier, he doesn't know this. How could he?
Cat Williams didn't just walk into this drama. He sashayed in like he'd been waiting for this exact moment. The man barely had to lift a finger before social media exploded with his signature sly grin plastered everywhere. The second Shannon Sharpe scandal hit the headlines, Cat treated the situation like a VIP comedy club opening just for him. No apology tours, no thoughts and prayers statements, just a microphone and a smirk ready to unleash the petty energy he's been bottling up for years. So y'all just found out what I've been side-eyeing for years? He cracked during a recent show, setting the internet on fire. And from there, it only got wilder. See, for Cat Williams, this wasn't just about a lawsuit or messy receipts. This was the culmination of a beef slow cooked to perfection. Shannon's fall wasn't just another scandal to comment on. It was dessert served with extra whipped cream. Cat didn't hesitate for a second. He jumped into roast mode like he'd been rehearsing it in the mirror every night. With every headline that dropped, from the alleged manipulation of a teenager to the weirdly specific race play allegations, Cat had a joke cocked and ready, firing them off so effortlessly it looked almost rehearsed. But that's the thing about Cat Williams. When the world gives him chaos, he turns it into a comedy show you can't look away from. The beauty of Cat's approach, he didn't come off angry, bitter, or vengeful. He treated the whole situation like it was a roast at Shannon's retirement party.
Period. All of these big deviants is all catching hell up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. T.G. Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way. The truth is the light.
Except Shannon didn't even know he was the guest of honor. Man, 54 years old, still trying to pledge to the freshman dorm? Cat chuckled at one point, sending audiences into a frenzy. No heavy-handed lectures, no self-righteous soapboxes, just jokes, observations, and a gleeful twinkle in his eye that said, I told y'all something wasn't right. It was the kind of casual annihilation only Cat Williams could pull off. And fans absolutely ate it up. But the real genius? Cat didn't just clown Shannon for the headlines everybody already knew. Nah, he sprinkled in just enough personal shade, the kind that hints he saw the warning signs way before the receipts dropped. You can put a suit on a circus clown, but if you hand him a microphone, he'll still honk, Cat joked, firing off one of his signature laugh bombs that had even the news blogs quoting him the next morning. This wasn't just roasting for sport. This was Cat setting the tone for what was about to be the funniest, messiest takedown of the year. And if you thought this was Cat's full attack, oh no, this was just him clearing his throat. Because what came next had everybody's jaws on the floor, and Shannon scrambling for cover. When Cat Williams really wants to roast you, he doesn't just grab the obvious jokes. No, he digs into your laundry basket, pulls out every wrinkled, sweaty piece of mess you thought you hid, and waves it around like flags at a parade. And Shannon Sharpe's basket? Oh, it was overflowing. The minute the lawsuit against Shannon surfaced, Cat knew he didn't have to stretch or exaggerate. The facts were messy enough to do half the work for him. And Cat just sprinkled the seasoning. First off, the age gap alone had Cat pacing like a preacher who couldn't believe what he was seeing.
The genius of Cat Williams is that by the time you realize he's also talking about you, Shannon, it's too late.
I didn't want to get with a white woman because I was scared she might have me running down the street like Jonathan Majors. Come on, Cat. Not because I didn't like white women. I think white women are as great as any other women. But I'm not going to act like I'm not scared of them. I have a reason to be scared. You could be Kang the Conqueror, and they could take your rabbit ass down in 2 weekends. Well, they went around the world for 2 years straight telling any women that would listen that this was a good-looking Since when? When did y'all start liking a big nose? And when did y'all like a little head and a big jaw? When? Since when? That look like my daddy. When you start liking my daddy? You like black people's features like that? If this ugly
That's 3 fingers down. Is he pointing to Shannon right there?
And all is good look. Anytime you see them telling you something you can't believe, just understand it's a play. Get out of here! Get out of here, ugly boy.
Gabriella Zuniga, just 19 years old when she allegedly got involved with Shannon, a man pushing 54, was bad enough. But Kat couldn't resist the comedic gold sitting right there in the open. Man, when your girlfriend got to ask her RA for dating advice, maybe you ought to rethink your choices. Kat deadpanned during a recent set. And the crowd? Dead. Howling. But it didn't stop there. The lawsuit wasn't just about a scandalous age difference. Gabriella came forward with serious claims, manipulation, physical assaults, secret recordings, the kind of allegations that don't just ruin reputations, they obliterate them.
Well, I'm not really interested in getting choked, so I guess we're going.
Yeah, I might choke you in public. Big black guy chokes small white woman.
It's not a good look, Shannon.
Not a good look that you do with the shit you did to me.
Okay,
And Kat spun it all into a roast session that made people forget they were even talking about real legal charges. Now listen, Kat said, pausing for effect. When a 19-year-old starts dating a man older than her daddy, you better believe there's not just baggage. There's a whole lost luggage department. Shannon's team scrambled to control the narrative, painting Gabriella as a clout chaser, a liar, a desperate opportunist. But to Kat, it didn't matter who was lying, who was scheming, because the optics alone were enough to turn Shannon's whole image into a stand-up punchline. You 54 years old chasing TikTok trends and thinking you catching feelings? Bruh, you catching court cases? Kat riffed, barely able to keep a straight face himself. And the public? Oh, they were eating it up. Memes, TikToks, shady Twitter threads. Kat's jokes basically became the soundtrack of Shannon's unraveling. People didn't just want updates on the lawsuit anymore. They wanted to see what Kat Williams would say about it next. Every wild detail from Gabriella's lawsuit, from the alleged threats to the so-called secret tapes, became another bullet point in Kat's comedy arsenal. And he wasn't even breaking a sweat. The real twist? Kat didn't have to fabricate a single thing. Shannon's life was serving up material so ridiculous, it sounded like it was ripped straight out of a parody script. And Kat, the undisputed king of messy commentary, knew exactly how to turn every new scandalous headline into another knockout punch. But while everyone was laughing at the chaos now, Kat had seen the writing on the wall long before any of it exploded publicly. Because if you rewind just a little bit, you'll realize Kat had already set this whole roast in motion months ago.
He said he told me, and my guy Jordan is over there. He said, "Now they're gonna come for you." I said, "Can't come for me for what? I didn't say anything."
Right.
He said, "They're gonna come, and they're gonna say a lot of different things, and they're gonna be some people that you thought you might be able to get that they're not gonna come now."
Right.
And that's absolutely happening.
Long before lawsuits started flying and Shannon Sharpe's name got dragged through every blog and burner account, Kat Williams had already sniffed out the mess. You didn't need to be Sherlock Holmes, but Kat, being the master observer he is, picked up on it before anyone else even saw the signs. And the real kicker? He did it on Shannon's own turf. The infamous Club Shay Shay interview wasn't just a conversation, it was a silent setup, a ticking time bomb. And Kat lit the fuse with a smile. At first glance, the sit-down between Shannon and Kat looked like two legends shooting the breeze, swapping stories, sharing laughs. But if you watched closely, really watched, you could catch the flickers of something deeper. Kat wasn't there just to promote a comedy tour or kick it old school. He was there to take mental notes. With every awkward pause, every sideways glance, Kat was calculating, clocking Shannon's whole vibe like a human lie detector. That fake smile don't hide a real mess, Kat joked later on stage, referencing Shannon's stiff laughs during the now iconic interview. It was clear Kat picked up something, a weird energy, a contradiction. And once he saw it, he didn't let it go. What's even funnier? Shannon thought he was in control the whole time, sitting back, nodding along, laughing at Kat's stories, probably thinking he was racking up views and internet clout. And he was, but not for the reasons he hoped. That Club Shay Shay episode blew up all right, became one of the most watched interviews on YouTube, but not because of Shannon's hosting. It was Kat's surgical shade, hidden under jokes and polite chuckles, that made the episode pure gold.
To my family, friends, supporters, and colleagues, I want to speak to you directly and from the heart.
You know, it is a shakedown. It is a targeted attack, but Shannon needed to have some accountability because he gave them something to shake down. He gave them something to target by making poor choices.
Kat dropped sly barbs about fake friends, Hollywood snakes, sellouts, all while never naming names. But when you rewatch it now, knowing what came after, it's painfully obvious. He was aiming squarely at Shannon the whole time. Be careful who you break bread with, Kat said with a knowing smirk during one segment. Back then, it sounded like generic wisdom. Now, it hits like a laser-guided missile. And the real masterstroke? Kat never raised his voice, never lost his cool, never called Shannon out directly. He planted seeds of doubt, seeds of suspicion, and then let them bloom all on their own. So when Shannon's world started crumbling months later, Kat didn't even need to say, "I told you so." The interview was the proof. The jokes were the confession. The world was just catching up to what Kat had been laughing about all along. But trust, Kat wasn't about to stop at silent victories. Oh no, the real roasting was only just about to begin. The thing about scandals is they never just walk through the door quietly. They kick it off the hinges and throw a party inside your house. And when it came to Shannon Sharpe's mess, the receipts didn't trickle out politely. They came bursting out like a broken fire hydrant. First it was the lawsuit, then the texts, then the leaked audio, then the rumors swirling faster than Shannon could throw on another designer suit. And while Shannon's PR team was out here trying to staple the narrative back together, Cat Williams was front row, popcorn in hand, heckling the whole disaster like it was amateur night at the Apollo. It started with those wild text messages, the ones Shannon's camp dropped like they were pulling the ultimate Uno reverse card. Explicit, graphic, straight-up jaw-dropping texts allegedly from Gabriela Zuniga, painting her as the one steering the freaky ship. Shannon's team thought they had delivered the knockout punch, but Kat wasn't buying it for a second. When your defense is basically, "Yeah, I'm nasty, but she liked it. You already lost, playa." Kat joked to a roaring crowd, barely able to finish the line through his own laughter. But that was just the appetizer. Then came the rumors. Disturbing whispers about Shannon's alleged race play kinks, about secret recordings, about coercion that sounded less like 50 Shades and more like full-blown manipulation. Internet sleuths started digging, piecing together timelines, and the optics turned from messy to radioactive. Kat naturally didn't miss a beat. "Man, this story got more plot twists than a Tyler Perry movie," he cackled, roasting Shannon without even needing to mention his name. Just the idea of an aging sports icon tangled up in a TikTok-era OnlyFans scandal was enough to have audiences losing their minds.
Because it's true. Sit your old down and go find somebody your age and build a family with them. As I said yesterday, men, we need stability and we need discipline.
And the leaked audio? Oh, that was the final gas can on an already raging fire. Tony Busby, Gabriela's lawyer, dropped clips that allegedly captured Shannon making threatening, deeply uncomfortable comments. The kind of sound bites that can't be explained away, no matter how many Instagram posts you make.
Anything I say, you're just gonna like get mad at and you're just gonna hang up on me. So I feel like
I'm not gonna hang up on you. Here's what it is.
what does that even mean?
Nothing yet. You want to be a dick to me now, so.
I don't want to be. Don't manipulate me.
Oh, Lord have mercy. If you say that one more time, I'm gonna fucking choke the shit out of you when I see you.
I don't.
You know what?
Well, I don't want to be choked.
Yes, you do. I don't think you have a choice.
Kat, of course, went straight for the comedic jugular. "You know you messed up when your own voice is snitching on you," he cracked, sending his audience into another round of chaotic applause. What made Kat's takedown so brutal wasn't just that he was funny. It was that he framed the whole mess as the inevitable collapse of someone who'd been putting up a fake front for too long. He didn't act surprised. He didn't act shocked. He acted like a man who'd been waiting with a folding chair and a lemon pepper wing basket, knowing sooner or later the show would come to him. And oh boy, the show was just getting started. Because while Shannon's receipts were ugly, the circus around who dropped what, who leaked what, and who blackmailed who was about to get even nastier. And Cat, he was already grabbing another bag of popcorn. If you thought the drama had already peaked, think again. Because once Tony Busby strapped on his courtroom boots, it turned into a full-blown circus. And Shannon Sharpe was center stage, spinning on the carousel while Cat Williams called out the play-by-play like the world's most savage ringmaster. See, Busby wasn't just coming in light, he unloaded a legal bazooka. He accused Shannon of offering Gabriela Zuniga a $10 million hush deal before the lawsuit even dropped. $10 million? And you already know Cat couldn't resist that kind of comedic gold. $10 million? That ain't hush money, that's shut up, move to Mars and start a new life money. Cat cracked, setting the internet on fire once again. But Busby wasn't just tossing numbers around. No, he came with receipts. Audio recordings allegedly capturing Shannon making violent threats and choking comments that could make even the most loyal fans squirm. It wasn't just, he said, she said, anymore. It was, he said, and then got caught on tape saying it.
Well, I'm not really interested in getting choked, so I guess we're going.
Yeah, I might choke you in public. Big black guy chokes small white woman.
It's not a good look, Shannon.
Not a good look that you did with the shit you did to me.
Okay,
And Cat roasted it all without mercy. When the court got you in 4K sounding like a rejected Bond villain, bruh, it might be time to sit this season out, he joked. Twitter practically collapsed under the weight of memes and reaction gifs. Meanwhile, Shannon's team tried to fight back, scrambling to paint Gabriela and Busby as the real villains. Money-hungry clout chasers who smelled blood in the water. Shannon's lawyers framed the leaked tapes as taken out of context, swearing up and down that the relationship was just two consenting freaks doing freaky things. But Cat wasn't buying that spin either. Ain't no context that makes I'ma choke you out sound like a love song, he quipped, absolutely torching the PR defense without even breaking a sweat. And while Shannon's team was throwing mud at Gabriela's OnlyFans career, Cat flipped that too. Wait, so you went shopping at the freak store, bought the deluxe package, and now you mad because you can't return it? He cracked, poking massive holes in Shannon's logic. Every new legal move just gave Cat more material, and he milked it to perfection, weaving punchlines that were somehow even sharper than the courtroom accusations themselves. What made this whole circus even more hilarious was how hard both sides were swinging and missing. Shannon's team accused Gabriela of extortion. Busby accused Shannon of blackmail and manipulation. It was lawsuits on lawsuits, threats on threats, counterclaims on top of counterclaims, and Cat sat there, narrating it like the messy family reunion nobody wanted to attend. They both in court like, you lied. No, you lied. Meanwhile, Judge Judy somewhere sipping tea, thanking God this ain't her case. Cat joked to another eruption of laughter. The truth didn't even seem to matter anymore. It was all about who could throw the bigger tantrum, leak the juicier clip, and make the public care for one more news cycle. And Cat, he knew exactly how to keep pouring gasoline on the fire while pretending he was just holding a marshmallow stick. And if you thought Shannon's OnlyFans debacle was embarrassing, wait until you hear how Cat turned his $100 million deal dreams into his next punchline.
He wasn't at a strip club, but his text messages have been revealed, and it's quite embarrassing for ESPN. So he used to be on First Take, and now they are putting that on ice.
Just when you thought it couldn't get any messier, Shannon's camp decided to play their so-called trump card and accidentally handed Cat Williams another full set of jokes. Shannon's lawyers rushed to the media, loudly pointing fingers at Gabriela Zuniga's side hustle, OnlyFans. They framed it like a smoking gun, trying to discredit her by saying she had been making money off explicit content, suggesting she wasn't some innocent victim, but a savvy player running a long con. But the internet didn't react the way Shannon hoped. And Kat? Oh, Kat saw an alley-oop and dunked it with 2 hands. First, Kat had to address the ridiculousness of it all. You telling me you mad because you went shopping at Freaky Mart and found out they don't give refunds? He howled on stage, his voice cracking with laughter. The way Kat framed it was brutal. Shannon wasn't some poor victim who got tricked. No, according to Kat's roasting logic, Shannon willingly wandered into a world he clearly couldn't handle. And now he was mad the cameras stayed rolling. And it didn't stop there. Around the same time all this freaky OnlyFans talk hit the web, another little bombshell surfaced. Shannon was allegedly on the verge of signing a $100 million media deal to take his Club Shay Shay brand to the next level. That's when Kat dropped one of his nastiest, funniest punches yet.
I know one thing. If you're 54, you have no reason to be talking to a 19-year-old. She's 22 now. Shannon is 56. I'm so glad that audio of Monique went viral yesterday.
Man, you can't be trying to secure a $100 million bag when you still out here shopping for girlfriends like it's clearance day at OnlyFans. Mic, drop. The irony was too perfect. Shannon was standing at the doorstep of his biggest career win yet. A massive payday, mainstream respect, a new era as a media mogul. And just as he was reaching for that prize, the past he thought he could keep private came crashing down like a wrecking ball. Kat painted it all as a tragic comedy. A man who built an empire on discipline, grind, and image, getting tackled at the 1-yard line by his own reckless choices. But Kat didn't frame it with sadness. No way. He wrapped it in brutal humor, pointing out that Shannon's own thirst for clout, the flexing, the image crafting, the polished persona, was exactly what made the crash so spectacular. When you spend your whole career telling the world you a king, Kat cracked, but the receipts show you out here getting beat by your own jester? Well, that's just Shakespearean, baby. Audiences couldn't get enough. Clips of Kat's jokes started going viral faster than the lawsuit updates themselves. Every time Shannon's camp tried to drop another statement, another defense, another piece of evidence, Kat was already there roasting it before it even finished trending. It was a masterclass in comedic timing, petty warfare, and cultural commentary. And it had the internet glued to every word. But as savage as Kat's jokes were, they were only the opening act. Because when Dave Chappelle's old comments resurfaced, the roasting session leveled up to a whole new battlefield. And suddenly, it wasn't just Shannon under the spotlight anymore. Just when the flames around Shannon Sharpe seemed like they couldn't get any hotter, here comes an old Dave Chappelle clip being dragged back into the spotlight, and Cat Williams made sure to fan the fire with both hands. See, a while back, Dave Chappelle had taken some not-so-subtle shots at Cat after the Club Shay Shay interview blew up, accusing him of tearing down successful black men instead of lifting them up. Back then, Cat ate that criticism with a smirk, said almost nothing in response, and let the headlines swirl. But now that Shannon's dirty laundry was hanging from every streetlight in Hollywood, Cat flipped the whole narrative into a comedy slam dunk. Remember when they said I was the one tearing folks down? Cat asked during a stand-up set, eyebrow raised. Funny how God got a way of showing you who's really been on that demolition crew. And the crowd absolutely lost it. The way Cat spun it, he wasn't the villain. He was just the narrator. The real downfall came from inside the house, and Shannon built that mess all by himself. Cat masterfully weaved the Chappelle callback into his routine without making it sound bitter or defensive. Instead, he played it off like a cosmic joke, as if karma had finally arrived, wearing a Shannon Sharpe jersey 2 sizes too small. You can't scream loyalty when you're out here shopping at Loyalty Depot with counterfeit coupons, Cat cracked, drawing thunderous laughter. It wasn't just a roast anymore. It was a masterclass in how to win, even when the deck seemed stacked against you. And here's the kicker. While Cat laughed and roasted, he never once denied his own flaws. He owned being messy, wild, petty, but he painted Shannon as someone who pretended to be above it all, only to get exposed as just another messy player in the same grimy game. At least when I get messy, I bring paper towels, Cat quipped. Shannon out here slipping on his own tee. The callback to Chappelle wasn't just a joke. It was a warning to everybody watching. In a world full of shiny images and polished reputations, the truth always has a funny way of leaking out. And in this case, Cat Williams didn't have to throw any punches. He just had to call out the cracks as they formed and watch the whole thing collapse like a bad circus tent. By the time Cat was done tying Shannon's downfall back to the bigger conversation about fake loyalty, fake brotherhood, and fake integrity, even the people who once criticized him were starting to shift uncomfortably in their seats. It wasn't just funny. It was undeniable. Cat had seen the fraud from a mile away, And now that the mask had slipped, all he had to do was narrate the fall. But while Cat had already scored a knockout, he wasn't about to walk away just yet. Oh no. Because next, he was about to kick off a full-blown petty victory parade. And the internet was more than ready to march with him. By the time the dust started settling around Shannon Sharpe's lawsuit drama, Cat Williams wasn't just roasting from the sidelines, he was throwing a full-blown petty parade, complete with fireworks, confetti, and a marching band playing Told You So on repeat. For Cat, this wasn't just another headline to joke about. It was a full-circle moment. And best believe, he celebrated it like a man who had called game-winning shots all season and was now cashing in every single receipt. Cat didn't need a long speech. His victory lap was pure showmanship, sly social media jabs, slick punchlines tucked into new stand-up sets, and perfectly timed reactions that had the internet howling. One post simply showed a slow-motion video of a clown car crashing. No caption, no names. But everybody knew exactly what he meant. You ever seen somebody trip over their own ego? Cat asked a sold-out crowd, the kind of rhetorical question that needs no real answer when the whole audience is already screaming. And if you thought Cat would stop at subtle shots, you don't know Cat Williams. Clips started surfacing of him mimicking Shannon's infamous Club Shay Shay posture, sitting back with arms folded, fake nodding solemnly like he was hosting his own busted talk show. "Welcome to Clown Shay Shay," Cat joked, twisting Shannon's brand into a running gag that people couldn't get enough of. TikTokers, meme pages, and reaction YouTubers jumped on it instantly, flooding timelines with edits of Cat roasting Shannon without ever mentioning his name, the ultimate disrespect. But the true brilliance of Cat's victory lap wasn't in the jokes themselves. It was in how he framed the whole situation like destiny, as if Shannon's downfall was the natural, inevitable result of shady vibes finally catching up with a polished image. Cat played it like he wasn't even mad. If anything, he seemed amused, tickled even, that the truth didn't need his help exposing itself. "I didn't tear nobody down," he said during one viral clip. "I just held up a mirror. If you didn't like what you saw, well, that's between you and your barber." Fans went wild. Hashtags like #Cat was right and #Clown Shay Shay started trending. Compilation videos of Cat's funniest roasts hit millions of views in days. It wasn't just a petty victory, it was a cultural moment, and Cat was smart enough to ride that wave without ever looking pressed or bitter. He wasn't chasing clout, the clout was chasing him. Meanwhile, poor Shannon couldn't catch a break. Every attempt to clear his name was immediately overshadowed by another viral Cat Williams clip or meme. Shannon's defenders were dwindling, his fans were getting quieter, and the headlines were getting crueler. But Cat, he just kept smiling, watching from his metaphorical lounge chair as the man who once laughed too hard at the wrong jokes now became one himself. And yet, somehow, the drama wasn't even over. Because as the fan bases started splitting and the media frenzy went nuclear, Cat's roast cracked open an even bigger conversation. Who really wins when fame turns toxic? When the smoke finally started to clear from the first round of roasting, it became obvious. Shannon Sharpe wasn't just battling a lawsuit anymore. He was battling the collapse of his own public image, one meme at a time. And at the heart of it all, Cat Williams, casually tossing jokes like grenades while the fan bases went to war. What started as a scandal spiraled into something way bigger, a cultural split that had the internet eating itself alive, and Cat didn't have to lift a finger to keep the chaos flowing. On one side, you had Shannon's loyalists, diehard fans who clung desperately to the idea that he was still the articulate, disciplined, straight shooter they had admired for years. They scrambled to explain away the texts, the tapes, the lawsuits, the whispers. "Everyone's got a freaky side," they insisted. "This is just a cash grab," they shouted. But the louder they got, the more ridiculous it sounded. Cat's jokes were floating above their heads like storm clouds, raining down petty punchlines that made defending Shannon feel almost comical. On the other side, you had Cat's army, fans, casual observers, and professional meme makers who saw the scandal for what it was, pure comedic gold. They didn't care about court documents or PR statements. They cared about that sweet, sweet content. TikTok was flooded with reaction videos of people reenacting Shannon's alleged conversations. Twitter threads popped off with people ranking Cat's best burns of the week like it was a sporting event. Instagram reels, nothing but Cat roasting Shannon to a trap beat. Every platform was a battlefield, and Cat was winning without even breaking a sweat. Media outlets, desperate for clicks, couldn't resist fueling the fire either. Every headline seemed designed to make Shannon look worse. Shannon Sharpe hit with more receipts. New audio leak deepens trouble for Shannon. It didn't matter if some of the stories were exaggerated or even outright false. Once you're in the scandal blender, facts stop mattering. It's about who tells the better story. And right now, Cat Williams was the undisputed storytelling king. Meanwhile, every time Shannon tried to clap back, whether through a lawyer's statement, an Instagram post, or a leaked DM, Cat's fans were already 2 steps ahead, remixing it into a joke. One viral TikTok showed a mock courtroom scene where a Cat Williams impersonator grilled a Shannon lookalike. "Sir, is it true you tried to pay your way out of freaky jail with Monopoly money?" The comment section, a graveyard for Shannon's credibility. But perhaps the most brutal part of it all was the shifting public sentiment. A lot of folks who once rode hard for Shannon quietly started disappearing. Some unfollowed, some switched up, others just stayed silent, waiting to see how bad it would get. Shannon's empire, built on years of clean-cut respectability, was suddenly on shakier ground than ever, and the ones laughing the loudest were the same people he once might have dismissed as haters. Cat didn't even have to say much anymore. His petty work was done. The momentum was self-sustaining. Like a wildfire started with a single flicked match, the fallout from Shannon's exposure had taken on a life of its own. But Cat wasn't quite ready to exit the stage. Oh no. He had one more mic drop left, a closing shot so cold it practically froze the whole conversation in place. Cat Williams has always understood one simple truth about the game. It's not about who talks the most, it's about who gets the last laugh. And when it came time to wrap up the biggest roast of the year, Cat didn't waste his words. He didn't launch into a 10-minute monologue. He didn't need to. With Shannon Sharpe's image crumbling under the weight of lawsuits, leaked tapes, and viral memes, Cat delivered one final haymaker that sealed the deal. A line so slick, so devastating, that it echoed across social media for days. "Moral of the story," Cat said, standing under the spotlight with that mischievous grin only he can pull off. "If your closet's walk-in, don't invite a comedian, he'll walk out with your whole wardrobe." Boom. Game over. The simplicity of it made it lethal. In one sentence, Cat flipped the entire saga, the lawsuits, the lies, the media spin, into a universal truth about pride, deception, and downfall. Shannon Sharpe wasn't just exposed by a scandal, he was exposed by his own need to appear untouchable. And Cat, with his sharp tongue and sharper instincts, simply highlighted what was already there. The internet went nuclear. Clips of that mic drop moment flooded TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. Even the news sites couldn't help but quote it. Think pieces popped up overnight. Cat Williams nails the problem with celebrity image culture. Why Cat's roast of Shannon hits harder than any lawsuit. Suddenly, it wasn't just a roast anymore. It was a cultural critique delivered with a sledgehammer wrapped in velvet. Cat didn't have to gloat. He didn't need a victory tour. He left the stage that night smiling, knowing he had done what few could. He turned one man's downfall into a living, breathing case study on the dangers of fake personas. He showed everyone watching that no matter how polished your brand is, if there's a crack in the foundation, somebody's going to see it. And if that somebody happens to be Cat Williams, you better pray he's in a forgiving mood, because otherwise, you're getting the full treatment. As the days turned into weeks, the fallout continued. Shannon's legal battles dragged on. His fan base splintered further. His brand, once so tightly managed, now carried a permanent stain, one that no amount of Instagram apologies or slick podcast interviews could ever fully erase. And Cat walked away untouched, the internet's newly crowned petty king, the man who turned savage observation into an art form. He didn't need to press the issue. He didn't need to double back. He knew, and the world knew, that the truth had already done all the talking necessary. And maybe the funniest part of it all? Cat never had to raise his voice once, he just laughed.